conversation, as long as it's going, it's vibrant, let it go on. But I will at some point maybe nudge us forward just to make sure that we can end at 8:30 out of respect for everyone's time. So I'm going to get out of the way, and I've had a brief opportunity to meet with and talk to her, and look forward to talking and working with her. Iona Spikes, who's the new Director of Equity and Family Engagement. Iona, you here?
I am here, Mike. Thank you so much for the introduction and the space to just say hello and greet the parents and the stakeholders that are here this evening for this meeting. I'm really excited about being part of this Title I Parent Advisory Committee. I kind of live and breathe Title I. So just to give you all a little bit about my background, prior to coming to Fairfax County Public Schools, I lived abroad for a few years in the UAE, and I had an opportunity to work with students and families who had some special needs and concerns that was really similar to what we call Title I in the United States, just making sure that those parents and families had equitable access and opportunity to education, right? And then prior to that, I was a principal in Baltimore City schools, in Anne Arundel County schools, and in the school system in Georgia. And all of those experiences, I was basically in Title I schools. I said to someone the other day that even though we didn't name it at the time, I think I've always been a teacher, a leader, a coordinator, an administrator, a principal, an advocate for a Title I school, just my whole entire career. So I am really grateful for this opportunity to work with you all, and hope that I can provide the support, guidance, resources, or whatever you need to really accomplish your goals and to see your vision come to fruition. And so with that, I look forward to working with you all. And I will go ahead and introduce formally our new interim CEO, Dr. Nardis King. And Dr. King, many of you may know her, as she served as the Regional Assistant Superintendent for Region 3. And she is definitely a Fairfax person, having been here for most of her career, but I'll let her tell you more about that. We are just excited that Dr. King has stepped in and accepted the role as interim CEO. And we know that under her leadership, this equity work and just this good work will continue. So with that, I'll formally introduce Dr. King and allow her to say a few words. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Spikes. It's a pleasure for me to be here this evening and greet all of you. I saw this meeting on my calendar and I was nosy. And so I wanted to come on and make sure that I said hello to the folks who are supporting our Title I committee and department, and led by Dr. Spikes. And I'm so glad that all of you are on here at 7 o'clock at night. It shows your dedication and your willingness to work and collaborate with us to make sure that we are supporting our Title I schools and making sure we're keeping equity at the center of all we say and do. I am in this role in an interim basis. As soon as the new superintendent is hired, the new superintendent will then hire his or her CEO, and I will go back to my position as assistant superintendent in Region 3, which I absolutely love. But while I'm in this position, I promise to be the voice of equity, representing all departments and regions in the school system. And so I will work closely with your leadership to ensure that your voice and your work is heard at every level in the school district. I am very passionate about equity, and I had my own children go through Fairfax County. My son is now 32 and my daughter is 29. And some of the same issues that they dealt with, or I dealt with as a parent for my own children, we're still experiencing in the system many years later. And so it's time for us to start calling it out and doing something about it, not just talking about equity, but making sure that we're reaching every child and providing them what they need to be successful in Fairfax County. So I look forward to hearing a little bit of your meeting. I'm not going to stay on the whole time because I do have another meeting I have to log on to, but I'll be glad to hear us listen to what you have to say. And I look forward to meeting some of you in the future. Thanks, Dr. Spikes.
Thanks to you both. And I know of one for sure, but any principal who's on tonight, if you don't mind just introducing yourself, letting folks know you're here, because we appreciate you at the end of a long day, making it even longer.
Hello, everyone. My name is Satanya Dews. I am the principal at Bailey's Primary Elementary School, and I am excited to be here and learn about the work that you all are doing.
Hi, everybody. My name is Felicia Usher. I'm the principal at Wayanoke Elementary, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you both. All right, so I think next I think it's AAP we're going to talk about. And I think first it's going to be viewing some of what is currently on the website. And I think Courtney is going to drop it into the chat so folks can kind of see what the information looks like on the website. Just give folks some time, see it in the chat right there. I'm going to take like 5 or 10 minutes, just kind of browse around and see some of the information, which is going to inform a discussion we have, along with some other questions about how the information that is on the AAP website, in terms of, what's presented and what the expectations and, how the program is administered, what it looks like in your particular school. So if everyone can access the link and just take some time going through it a little bit. There's a little video, an overview of the deadline of the program and deadlines for referral, and specifically what elementary schools, which is the majority of Title I schools, what services are being offered. And I don't know about anybody else. I had a little bit when Iona was talking, I had some issues. She froze for a minute, and even typing was taking a while. So I'm going to keep my camera off when I'm not speaking. And if you have any issues, I may recommend that as well. It may just be my system though. Okay. Everyone had sufficient time to look through it. I'll give a few more minutes if need be. The purpose is to do more talking and not just, reading on a screen. So it was really just wanted to share, overview on what's on the website. And this comes from, I think the idea of the discussion, it comes from, we've had folks from the AAP office who've presented at several meetings, and it's usually been before the deadline for referrals, which up until last year, 2020, fall of 2020, it was traditionally January, second week of January. And it is tomorrow, actually. And last year was around the same time. And I think going forward, that's the timeline they're going to keep. But, you never know for sure what, like you see a magazine cover and, this is what these are the stories, these are the subjects, but you never know what it's like inside. And based on the amount of questions, like every time we have an AAP presentation, there are more questions than there's time for. And I wonder if we're not missing out by not hearing from families on, what experience is it like in your school? Instead of having, folks from the office, central office talk, amongst ourselves, maybe we can identify some areas where the program can be strengthened, overhauled, what's working well, expanded, whatever it is. I just think that it's really valuable to hear from, our community talking about this, and instead of just, the professionals within FCPS. So that was the idea in which these questions were put together. And it's not something that you have to go one by one. It should be an organic conversation, but these are some of the concepts and ideas. Because I have a experience having had 2 children who go through the program, but it's not the same as other people. So I don't want to, by any means, think that my experience is indicative of everybody else, or that is universal. I think it's different everywhere. I think AP should be different in each school, because every school has a unique community. But it'd be interesting to hear in our discussions if, what is being billed is what's being delivered. So I think we're going to breakouts and talk through some of these questions. I believe somebody from each of the rooms will have somebody from the Title I office to help record. Courtney, do I have that right?
No, we only have 2 of us from the office this afternoon or here tonight.
Okay.
So I'm going to pop room to room and just try to jot down the thoughts from each room.
I can take one too.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
So you think like maybe 3 rooms, because 25 may break us up?
I did 5 rooms of 5
Okay.
or 4. Is that good?
No, that's good too. That's fine.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to open up the rooms now. If you just click join, have them click join, it should pop up right on their screen.
Okay.
Okay.
To really answer questions and clarify some of the language that is there, and really to be there to help support and guide families in understanding how they can advocate for their own children, what resources or samples they might be able to provide, and just having that person and knowing that person and being able to go to them just is a really powerful opportunity to have for our families. We talked about access with the different languages. The website provides the information, and for the most part, that information is easy to understand. And again, just having someone to go to clarify is just a really powerful piece. We also talked a little bit about, and again, each of our schools is in a different place, but with the experience and the thinking around a level 4 center and the dynamics of what that looks like, and how it can be challenging for that cohesive school, for the academic, the level 4 students, as well as all students, to really be perceived as one school and to really have the opportunities to interact in a really balanced way. And at the same time, when we look at structures such as a local level 4, is really, trying to better understand, sorry, here come the kids, trying to really understand, how that curriculum looks in the classroom to really meet the different needs of students across that classroom setting.
Thank you for that. Group 3.
I think I might have been in group 3. We had one parent in our group and some attentive Fairfax employees. And what was shared with us was that they felt that, or a parent felt that that the school staff was very helpful in the process for helping them to understand the referral process. I think she participated in two or three meetings, she felt that if it would be helpful to have the information earlier, like when her child was in kindergarten versus second grade. So that would be like maybe an opportunity for schools to like maybe talk with parents a little bit more in that domain. We also talked about young scholars and some of the other services available to kids in elementary school.
Tim, I wanted to piggyback off of what you said too. Another thing that we kind of discussed that I thought was different and creative is who's at the table making the decisions as far as what kids get in and what kids are placed. And one of the things that we had mentioned was, having fair representation. So having maybe a literacy teacher, a math teacher, a principal, an AART. And although it's supposed to be like that and you're supposed to have a team, oftentimes the whole team isn't at the table making the selections. So just making sure that there's a multiple perspectives when you're looking through evidence. So we talked more about the structure of things and also how to build upon the knowledge that we give parents on the AAP process. So if we start from kindergarten on up, by the time they go through the AAP process, parents are relatively knowledgeable on the process because they've been taught or showed or modeled since kindergarten. So that was two different things. So making sure that we've got a group at the table, and then also looking at it from the angle of building the parents' capacity around, or knowledge around the AAP process from early on.
Group 4.
All right. Hi, I'm Ho. This is Danusa. We were in group 4, along with a teacher, a principal, sorry, Andrea, you were the Title I math rep? Yeah. And we talked about a lot of different things, but for AAP, we talked a lot about the idea that what we had talked about before in previous TPAC meetings and executive board meetings about the idea of integrating AAP into everything. Get rid of separate breakout things, representation, like a referral process and all that. Just give these kids integrated into the classrooms entirely, so that there isn't distinctions and kids lost that should be going through this because of inequity, because of racism, sexism, other biases, or parents not having the information because it's not in their language, or people coming in like we did late into the school system. And because we came in right at second grade, we didn't get a lot of this information that people had been getting. We talked about that. One thing you brought up about bringing it down to the kindergarten level, the information is also bringing it to new parents, because again, if you come into the system late, a lot of times you're just kind of lost in the loop without this knowledge, and you don't even know what knowledge you need to seek, because everybody just assumes you're in here from pre-K till 12. But if you come in at 3, if you come in at 8, you're lost. And what else did we talk about? The anti-racist lens, anti-prejudice lens that needs to be applied to all of this, and training for the teachers, resources, time for the teachers to be able to teach at an AAP level, to know the difference, what kid needs more of what, and such. Victor Powell, the principal there, had brought up how, during COVID, we actually had the bonus of having Mondays that the teachers could meet and talk about and plan things. That is lost now that we went back to normal school-ish times. And I'm big advocate. Let's do a 4-day work week and a 4-day school week and just make it a little bit longer per day and give you guys Mondays to do all your planning and such. But that's a whole other world. Andrea, do you want to chime in, or Heather or Victor?
I'll just reiterate that a lot of what we talked about was making it more standardized for AAP, just to that curriculum to be integrated into the classroom. So it's more about differentiation versus a separate class for students. And also, Ho, you brought up that when you that you just want to be able to trust that the schools are going to provide you the information that you need to know as a parent, as when these forms need to be put in, and how do you figure out when if your child is in the AAP program. And you did a really good job summarizing what we talked about.
Group 5.
I was in group 5. I'm happy to chat a little bit. We had a wonderful collection of parents, a principal, and a representative from NAACP. So had a very lively conversation with the 4 of us. Chatted about a number of different issues based on the prompts, and this our own personal experiences as leaders and parents within FCPS. And I think some of the things that came out, and I certainly would welcome other folks in my group to speak up as well, is that, you know, I don't think there can ever be enough information over communicated about this program. It's complicated, and we tend to get a big influx of information around 2nd grade, and then really not much more else when we're in the elementary school level. And for a program that could potentially be very important in terms of where it could set you up or lead you to throughout the FCPS system. We spoke a lot about TJ, for example. You know, some of us basically voiced that we don't feel as though that the importance of it is brought up early enough or often enough in terms of what that impact could be for our students and for our families. We had a really in-depth conversation about, you know, why we have this program, and could there certainly be other ways of looking at students and their needs from an academic perspective. You know, could we move and evolve beyond it in terms of integrating students into higher grade levels when they, you know, are academically prepared to do advanced academics work versus being in an AAP program. So we had a really live discussion around that. And one of the things that we brought up in terms of, you know, some of the questions that linger are knowing the differences between the local and the center programs and what that means and what the differentiations are. And we were really lucky to have a representative in our group who was very well versed and able to share information with us about that differentiation and kind of where the school district has evolved over the years in terms of you know, starting new local programs versus centers over time. So I think understanding holistically where the county is going in terms of what their plans are for AAP, and you know, would be very useful for us as parents, and certainly for, I'm sure, a lot of other representatives around the county. And also, one of the things that I brought up was, you know, how do we discuss the value of AAP and with our different families? You know, is what AAP means to, you know, people from different backgrounds might require a different type of conversation. It's not just about language. It's about, identifying the potential challenges as well as wonderful benefits that can be derived from being able to get into this program or to be able to be involved in this program. And so I'd welcome my other folks from our conversation to add to that if they have anything else they'd like to add.
Thank you for that. Do we have any more groups? Or is that it? I think we said 5.
That was it. We had 5.
Okay. I love the conversation, and I knew it was going to happen. Without knowing exactly what it would be, I knew this would get a lot of good discussion, and I knew we could have gone longer. But this is really appreciated. And Courtney is going to pull up the bylaws. I'm going to speak to that really quickly, but especially what Jessica just shared about, I can't remember, something you said, it tied to why, I'm connecting it to the presentation to the school board and the report from last year as to why we recommended that there be more collaboration with the Advanced Academic Program Advisory Committee, because as they go through the year, they don't get to hear all of this, which they need to hear, because it would influence how they're developing things instead of just, and I'm saying this not knowing how they operate, so don't take this to mean this is what they do, but whatever their schedule is, without having all this input and feedback, they miss the opportunity to enhance, refine, broaden, reimagine, whatever you want to call it, the program. So we're going to do our best to capture all of this information, get it back to the committee to make sure we captured it right. But, this is a really valuable discussion that, the school board needs to really hear, what this is, despite whatever you think it is, this is what it's like. This is what's happening. Those memes like how it is or how it started, what I think it is, my family thinks it is, what so-and-so thinks it is. I mean, hearing these perspectives on what it's like versus, what others may think, I think is very valuable. So I appreciate all the time that folks sent. And News has a question about the difference of local versus the center. That might be on the website. I mean, I know the general difference, but you're right. There couldn't be enough information. And you said something, I think, Jessica, you said it about, second grade, you get a bunch, but before then, it's not a lot. And even after that, it kind of
Right.
filters out. Like I knew coming into the school system about it, even though I'm from Loudoun County. I just read something on it one day. I'm like, okay. And so we met with the art who we had at the school, and she kind of told us the process we need to do. So not everybody and most people won't know that. And I don't expect everybody to know, nor should they have to. So, the fact that something that has such great influence on your career path as a student is so under promoted, it's not right. Be honest, I mean, something's not right about it. It has too much influence to not get more press at the beginning, if you will.
Yep.
Mike, if I may piggyback on your comment, can you hear me? Because I've been double muted before.
I got you.
Okay,
I got you.
Is that some of the differences that are described in agreed upon literature aren't able to fully discuss or describe my perception of the differences between local and center. One of the comments I had, and I think I'm going to keep this quote, is that centers or magnets for more money. And so one of the things that I thought was a stark difference between my local and a center is that there were layers upon layers upon layers of extra funding, grant, programs. I mean, how did Belvedere end up being an IB program? What is it with the watershed funding that allowed the kids to get gloves and grabbers to go pick up, trash at creeks. Who's paying for those school buses to take the kids to parks on the weekends once a month, where you can just drop your kid off and pick them up afterwards because the teachers are taking care of it? Or their herbal gardens, or it's just a whole bunch of additional things that seem to be attracted to these identified centers versus centers or schools that have level 4 programs but are not identified, that are not as easy to say, oh, well, let's just pick this one as a local business to support, or let's pick this one as the Kennedy Center to teach the teachers interpretive dance for their kids. Sorry, that was Bailey's. So there's some nuances that are not readily available that I think in our group's discussion, it allowed us to get to a point where we were like, this should be more evenly distributed. And I actually approve the fact that there are no new centers being opened, because I do believe that the opportunity to be able to lean forward in the areas that a child excels should be available at all schools. So there's just some pieces that you wouldn't know if you hadn't been there, if you didn't look, that I would wish that would be available to the general populace, second, first grade or kindergarten. And then also something that I know is near and dear to your heart is understanding the track that it puts your kid on if they ever want to go to TJ. And maybe for another discussion, we can discuss how to address the fact that if you didn't go to an AAP and you didn't go to another AAP at middle school, and you didn't get selected to get into honors algebra in 7th grade, then you're not able to apply. Maybe something that can level that out, like a summer course for kids that were in AAP in a local level school that gives them Algebra 1, that allows them to be available to apply to TJ. So I think there's a broader discussion about disseminating resources across all of the different schools and different populaces that make it easily attainable, instead of a labyrinth of understanding what repercussions there are for a decision you make today for your child tomorrow.
And let me jump back real quick to what you said about TJ. Now, personally, and I'm happy to tell anybody offline after this meeting is ended, or if they want to talk about another meeting, I have no problem saying why I wasn't really excited or care if my kids went there. But what you said that sticks to that about resources, there's no reason a school of 2,000 should have all the resources and other schools don't. We shouldn't have a TJ that stands above because of all the resources. All schools, all high schools should have a wealth of resources that students who go there should take advantage of. But I'll stop for now because we are getting close to time. I wanted to highlight you to some proposed bylaw changes, and many of them are reflecting the virtual environment with which we've conducted our business for the past couple of years. Courtney, can you scroll down a little bit? So the first part is we have one representative from the NAACP. There's other community organizations. We're gonna have up to 5, and I have not, some of those, I've been made aware of some, and we're gonna reach out to some and see how many other organizations, because the perspectives that, whether you're a Title I school or not, it's still informed by those who are doing work in the community. They can, there's areas that no doubt we're missing, and the more that we have to bring to the table, I think the better off we can be in terms of giving guidance about areas to improve. Can you keep scrolling, please? Next is, and I think this is the most substantial change, it's about meeting business and voting. And let's see, the key is committee. Previously, we've had remote participation prior to COVID, but there was those who participated remotely could not vote or take part in business, which is voting really. And while we don't vote often, it's something that we do. And regardless of if we're ever in person again or remote, we just make it clear that whatever way you participate, virtually, in person, you engage in all aspects of meeting business. Now, did I not write something all the way? And I think to be clear, and this is important too, in case there is business that has a vote, we're going to give up to 7 days for those who aren't able to attend to cast their vote, so they can just provide that back to, the TPAC email in a reply, because, there's reasons people just aren't able to make it, but, just give them time. And is that it, or is there anything else? Did you see, Courtney? Yeah, I think that's it. The only thing about the amendments, if you go down to the reason why I'm sharing this now and we'll be voting on it next time is because it's at least 2 weeks prior to the next meeting. So in January, a copy of this will go out again for review, but in January we'll be voting on it. And that will allow us to just do business more quickly, because there's no need to slow it down based on certain procedures. So we're just trying to streamline some things, make it more efficient. And the last order of business we have is the voting of 2 members who are on the executive board to different positions. We have a high school representative. We previously had a middle school liaison for a while, but knowing that, students' journey does not end in 8th grade, no more than it ends in 5th or 6th, we need to have a perspective that's captured throughout. And so up for nomination in the role of the high school representative is Moses Cobb. And we have also for vice chair, Mashika Davis Smith. She's been in the executive board for the past year. Moses has been in executive board as long as I have been, actually, which is 7 years, I think, by now. So just by a show of Zoom hands, for those who are members of TPAC, if you can just put your hands up if you are in favor of them being on the executive board. Not executive board, sorry, the roles, vice chair and high school representative.
Sorry, I am Zoom illiterate, so I'm going to physically go hand up.
Okay, if you just go to reactions.
There we go. You got us.
That works. All right. So they are in. Thank you very much. I would say welcome, but you all have kind of been here for a while. And I will say to those who, Courtney, can you tip to the last page just to show our schedule for the rest of the year? Just so folks know, and maybe it's one behind, whatever shows our meeting schedule.
Hey, Michael.
Yes. Sorry, Moses.
Hey, everybody. This is Moses. No, Michael. Listen, man. This is I believe in the work that TPAC does. This isn't it's a lot of fun. So I if given the opportunity to remain, I'm very excited. For anybody that doesn't know, obviously Mike and I know one another very well, but there's some of you that don't know. I mean, I have a senior, I have a junior, I have a sophomore, I have a 5th grader, and I have a 3rd grader. It seems like it's coming at me from all different types of angles, but whatever I can lend to the TPAC and help it, certainly as it comes towards the end of the year and making recommendations, I'm all for that. So I'm very humble and appreciative, Mike, that. And I just want to make sure that everybody within the sound of my voice can hear that. TPAC does great work, and it's necessary. It's necessary. Oh, that it's necessary. So
very. And thank you, Moses, for everything you've done. You always have a great voice adding into these meetings. You too, Mashika. You always have a lot of good things to say and important perspectives. I've learned a lot from you guys being on this executive board. Yeah. And this is too, after she wrote me into this.
Thanks, Moses. And just for those who know, we still have 3 vacancies on the executive board. And whether or not you're interested, anybody can attend an executive board meeting. So if you are interested, just let Title I staff know, and you get an invite to it just to see what it is what we talk about. more of the same. We can drill a little deeper sometimes, but based on if I saw some of you in person, I'd be probably pointing at you like, hey, that's what I did to Ho. That's how he got on here. He basically was explaining something so well. I was like, oh, you better get on the executive board because I didn't have to say anything. But if those of you, I would just recommend, catch a meeting or two, but you could also offline talk to any of us who are on the executive board if you have questions about it, interested in being on it. We get great support from the Title I office. So for the most part, I can just show up and talk. But, I think the work that we're doing is valuable, and, really do appreciate the perspectives being shared and all the input. And Karen, do you want to share anything before we close out?
I am happy to discuss what you would like for me to discuss.
You don't have to discuss anything. I just want to know if you want to share anything before we I put you on the spot.
This is my 5th meeting today, starting at 10. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's right. So, yeah, do they know about John Lewis, or do we need to talk about that at another time?
I sent a communication last week, and I got some feedback, and you can give an update on what transpired today. I think that'd be useful.
Okay, so the proposal was presented, lots of feedback from the community, and the board voted unanimously to allow the project to go forward, is the quickest summary I can give you. And that includes the budget that was requested of about $377,000 per year for the next 3 years to establish this program.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And can you speak to in terms of the program being at John Lewis, and what the impact could be across the county, though?
So really, we're using this as a pilot. And we had a little bit of discussion regarding this today about, how other students can access it. And that's just part of the next stage of this, right? The way that they're presenting it right now is it would be a full day program at John Lewis High School, which would allow students to come in, basically what we call pupil place, to be able to come in and participate. That is one way. Some board members wanted it to be more like a traditional academy where people can drive and participate maybe part of the day. Those are things that would have to be explored in this next phase. But it was very clear, let's just say, sort of like they were kind of fighting over it a little bit. So we're trying to figure out how to get it to the point where more students would be able to participate. So we talked a little bit about, virtual being available for those that are, across the county. I don't think Justice is that hard, or some of the what do you have? Justice and Annandale you have in Mason. So, there are some schools that would be close enough that if students wanted to participate as it is being planned now, that they would be able to do that.
Is there any idea of having similar programs within those schools, though, too?
Oh, that is my hope. I mean, it took as you know, my dear friend, it took 1.5 years to get to this. And so I will continue to work now that people are saying it's wonderful and they want it, then that just means that maybe the budget needs to be bigger. So we just have to cross those bridges. But, I'm just reveling today and enjoying the fact that 1.5 years of work got a yes today. And we will build to reach other schools after I get a little bit of a nap.
Did anybody have anything to say? I see hands up. I don't know if that's from before.
Yeah, Mike, I just want to add in, you were talking about reaching out to us. Can you put up somewhere where people can contact the board? Information maybe in the chat or something, or a general idea, so everybody knows how they can get in touch with us?
Okay.
Are you talking about contacting the school board
No, he's
or
talking
your
about,
board?
he's talking about the executive board for folks.
Oh, okay.
We'll put that, we can send that in a follow-up email that goes out.
Perfect. And that, John Lewis, is great news. It's one of those reasons I happily pay taxes in this county and sales tax and all the other stuff, because we need the money to fund these things.
Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to positive growth. We'll keep working on it, but this was a major hurdle today.
All right, thank you, Karen. And there's nothing else. I would recommend if folks didn't have a chance to, well, first of all, there's a feedback form. It's in the chat. If you click on that and fill it out, you don't have to, I don't think you have to say logged on to fill it in. It'll go in regardless, right, Courtney?
Right, it's open to all.
Okay, so yeah, you can, when you sign up, just make sure you fill it out this evening, please. And for those who haven't had a chance to, because a lot of what you said tonight was reflected in the report and presentation to the school board, but I think you drilled in even deeper because we had a lot of school perspectives represented, and clearly this conversation is not over on this topic. So for those who haven't had a chance, and we'll send it out again, take some time if you can over the break to look through the report and the presentation just as we move forward this year. Our next meeting will be January 25th. That's the next general session. And our next executive board meeting is January 11th. And as we said, if anybody's interested, you're absolutely welcome to attend. I wish everybody the best as we get in our school break. Hope everyone's safe and look forward to seeing you in 2022.
Thanks, Mike. Happy holidays, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Enjoy. Thank you, guys.
Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you for everything.